Welcome everyone, thank you for coming and sparing the time to listen to me about our interesting company. I'm going to start very quickly at the main part, the investment case. There's three parts of this. There's a market opportunity, there's our solutions, and there's our past performance. We work in the data management, document and information management in construction and building. It's a massive growth area, it's a highly under-digitized market, and there's a lot of movement of companies into the market now and a lot of acquisitions, a lot of growth in the space. We have solutions that have been around for a few years now. We have some excellent clients, excellent projects, and we're giving class-leading solutions to that market. We've grown rapidly over the last few years. We were profitable. We've been on prestigious projects. I'll go through some of them in a moment. And we're adopting contract sales and recurring revenue approach to the market now. So, first of all, I'll go through who we are, then what we do, the market, the financials, a bit about roadmap, and we'll finish with a Q&A with Simon. So, who we are, this is the bit where I talk about me a little bit. So I'm the CEO. I've been with the company since 2011. Conor O'Brien, our CFO, who's also here, has been with the company since that time as well. And Mike White is our CTO. He's one of the founders of the company. Together, along with a great group of people, great team that we've built over the years, we're providing solutions and services into the construction industry across the world. We have currently 34 employees. We also have some contractors in the Middle East, so that number probably shows a bit low on how many people are actually working for Zutec. So, we do software as a service. It's the building construction industry, as I said. All of our software is hosted in the cloud, and it's all about helping to improve efficiency of people, efficiency of processes. We're currently deployed in about $32.5 billion worth of projects globally, across the UK, Italy, the Middle East, Australia. So we've got good spread of our product around the world. So what is it we do? It's software as a service. We're digitizing that industry. Construct tech, there's another word, prop tech, which we're, I suppose, involved in as well. We're smoothing those workflows. We're taking workflows which would have traditionally been paper-based into document or data-based. So for example, one of the projects we're working on is the Abu Dhabi airport, the new terminal there. A process of closing out a work inspection on that airport used to take 20 days, a 12-step process, because every bit of work carried out would have to be signed off on a sheet, stamped, scanned, emailed 12 times to get to a closeout. We now have that process down to about 1.7 days. So they go into the field, there's about 200 people in the field, they use iPads or their phones to fill in that information digitally. It's automatically sent to the next person and so on. So it improves the efficiency on that. And what we were able to see on that was exactly where they're falling behind. We're able to report back to the commercial team how far they are behind or ahead in the work inspection requests to get the project completed. And also who is behind, where the problems are, where the hold-ups are. And they're starting to use that information to hold payment on subcontractors. The result of all that, as I say, is improved efficiency, lowered cost, maintaining budgets within construction, and then safer projects. You know that the work has been carried out, everything is signed off, everything is accounted for, full traceability on a construction site. This is a big problem in construction at the moment, traceability, transparency. Even on sites we see WhatsApp as being one of the biggest forms of communication, which is going to be a disaster in construction. People are telling people what to do, where to put things, how to finish things over WhatsApp. That's uncontrolled information. What we do is bring that into our ecosystem and make that transparent. Give ownership of all of that data to the people who are running the project. So that makes it a lot safer. We're driven around data. People use, once we're in, there's a lot of data maintained in our system. So we're very sticky. That's in the next phase of the project, into handover. All of that data we hold and manage keeps us on those projects for a long time. It's cutting edge technology. We're using 3D, BIM, integrating that data and live data into 3D models, having handover reports, making sure that everyone knows where each subcontractor or consultant are in their journey through the project. We can ensure that everyone is going to program. And the biggest thing is reporting up to the executive level. That's what we excel at. It's a highly under-digitized industry. The Economist did a report on it. It was the second least digitized industry, only ahead of agriculture and hunting. So there's huge growth potential in digitizing construction. Construction, as you know, is one of the biggest industries on the planet. We have a solution. We have it around on-site applications, office, collaboration, and then 3D and live data. So we've got a lot of different areas covered, and we're becoming the central hub of that data across various different processes within a project. We can sell direct, we can sell through partners. In the Middle East, you may use partners, which would be normal. We have partners in Italy, mainly down to a language barrier, and we're looking at different partners in France and Spain at the moment. We can sell on a project basis, so if you're building a large building, you can pay a license to use the product for that project. Or else, we're selling directly into companies to become a tool they use on all projects, which is what the scaling side of the business has been built on. That recurring revenue, it could go for 5, 10, 20 years. So, and even on the project basis, once the project is handed over, we then start getting an annuity for hosting that data, which is always grows. We're finished projects now 10, 12 years. They're still paying us an annual hosting charge to host that data in the cloud. And that's growing all the time. Recurring revenue is a big thing for us. That's where we're moving. That's where we see the scaling in the industry. There's a couple of guys who've offered very small products, and they've built it on that recurring revenue, high volume sales. So we're adding that to our marketing strategy and our sales strategy. Some of our projects, one of the first big projects we did was Wembley Stadium. They still pay us on an annual basis for hosting that information. They access the information on Zutec on probably a daily basis. All the details about warranties, how things work, that is all hosted within Zutec. And actually now, this is an old enough picture. There's a huge development going on around Wembley called Wembley Park. It's one of the biggest residential developments in the UK, and we're employed by Quintain, the developer, on that. So we will not just have Wembley, but the surrounding area as well. All of that information hosted within Zutec. This is one we can't advertise or press release, but in these things we can say it. We're working on Big Ben or Elizabeth Tower. We have just also received the contract for the steelwork on the House of Commons. So every single element in Elizabeth Tower, from every piece of ironwork and stonework, is all the refurbishment of that is managed within Zutec. And we can report on where they are with each different element using a 3D interface. So it's a very exciting project. It brings us into a new area of refurbishment and renovation and historic buildings. And the interesting thing about that, the clients on that, they were not a client of ours before, but they knew they needed something different, so they came to us. We're known in the industry as the guys who can solve a problem that there may not be a product out there for. The Shard in London, we completed that in 2014. Every bit of asset data in that is hosted in Zutec. It was built up in Zutec, and they use it again on a daily basis to access that information to manage the building. Some of our large clients, you know, Bechtel, a big American company, AECOM, WSP are global companies. Multiplex is originally an Australian company, Brookfield, a Canadian company, Vinci, they're a French company, BAM are worldwide as well. So we've got a lot of big clients, and we can leverage that as we move into our volume sales, which is really taking hold at the moment. Bouygues Construction, another large French company that we're working with. So, the market. There's a growth of a minimum 15-20% in the digital construction space at the moment. And I would say that is massively undervalued, because what is not taken into account there is people using some kind of technology that is not specific to construction, such as even Excel, things like that. People are moving in every construction company, even if they're doing kitchen fit outs or smaller jobs, are using something where even 2-3 years ago it was paper. They're now using something to do that. It may not be solely focused as a construction solution as yet, but that growth is much bigger than that. Zutec have multiple revenue opportunities. It's not just during construction. We also have the building life cycle, the management of the building. It could be just for the architect, it could be just for the engineering consultant or the subcontractors. So we have many different areas we can get in. It's not just, you know, that it's Zutec or nothing. We have a lot of different offerings that we can bring at different stages and across different platforms within construction. It's across the entire building life cycle. The example of Wembley Stadium, the likelihood is they'll redevelop that in 2050 or 2060. They will need the information in Zutec at that time, all the hazardous materials, how it was built, to take it down. So they will continue to pay us an annual revenue up until that. And every project we get, well, almost every project we get, they move into that phase as well. So that hosting revenue is always growing. It is a bit of a, you know, people from not in construction will see it as a niche market, but it's huge and it's not limited. We can grow into, as I say, the smaller projects, not just the mega projects. So there is huge scope for uses of Zutec. And there's some other verticals we could move into as well, fleet management, things like that. You can see, you know, SaaS is a $71 billion market. ERP systems is a $40 billion. At the moment, building construction collaboration is only a $2 billion industry, or so they say. That is growing, as I say, at 15–20% faster than these guys. So it is very much a growth market. Now, the financials. So we currently are sitting with a net cash of just under 40 million SEK. We have a decrease. I suppose we released our Q1 results, which had a decrease in revenue and cash, and there's a reason for that. We had a large project in Qatar, which our current phase of finished in July. Now we're renegotiating that to go into the next phase and possibly another phase after that. So that has an effect on our revenues in the short term. But what it also shows is that our business model of adding the volume-based sell to smaller companies gives us a more stable revenue growth. If we have thousands of customers rather than hundreds or tens of thousands, we are going to be able to flatten the revenue across quarters and years and grow it at a steady pace. And that's, I suppose, one of the historical things with the company is when you work on these mega projects, they finish. So, you know, you've got to replace them before they end. Now, this particular project is not finished yet. It's just a renegotiation, and there's some cash tied up in that as well. So that affects a couple of things on our quarterly financials. But in the UK, where we're pushing more the volume based, we've doubled our sales quarter on quarter from Q1 last year. In Australia, there's a drop, but again, that's just, we decided to take the hit there. We're just restructuring the way some of our clients are being billed. It's just a restructuring of our financing and invoicing to them. So we decided we would take that hit in this quarter. So the other things we've done in the quarter, we've appointed a CRO, a Chief Revenue Officer. So he's really there and he has very set targets, very aggressive targets to grow that volume-based business. So we're growing, you know, as a number of customers per month through an inside sales, inbound marketing approach, supplying our potential clients and our clients with productized, simple to use solutions rather than a platform is what we supply on the mega projects. So in that area, we've increased our SaaS sales by 24% in that quarter. So that is growing, and that's where the scale can come from within the company and within the industry. So although we showed a drop in revenue, I'm quite confident that it's just a resettling as such. That's all it is. So the roadmap, and excuse me if some of this is not relevant to you, it's more construction based, but I'll give you very much an overview. In the industry at the moment, people are talking about BIM, which can be building information modeling or building information management. And they see this as the solution to digitizing construction. I think it's part of the solution, it's not the solution. The problem with that is everything is based around email, people having access to computers, people having access to, you know, good computers that can display 3D models, things like that. The reality of construction is most people don't have access to that. They don't even have company email, people who work on construction sites. So what my view of the industry is that you will have BIM up at the top, up here, sensor machine data. So this could be temperature, humidity, number of people on site. You can get information from people's phones, where they are, what they're doing. Tools and assets are tagged with IoT data. You know where everything is. On-site mobile data, people doing their jobs. I've finished this. This needs to be done. The next person needs to come in. Reports and data integration. That's information from different areas of the construction site moving up the funnel towards the executive level so they can see exactly where they are. Peer-to-peer information, what I said about WhatsApp, people talking to each other, you know, they need to converse at all times, that needs to be owned. Maintenance information and the 2D interface into 3D drawings or 2D drawings to view them, mark them up, share them, and the same in 3D. The central part to all of that is communication tools and AI. So AI may not be along the way yet, but that will come in construction, because construction, like all other industries, will follow that path. That's the way they've gone. They've had siloed solutions that have eventually come together. And the nature of construction is that people are not working side by side. They could be many floors apart or good distances. It could be difficult to get from one to the other. So the comms, the communications element of construction, digitization, will be huge. And we're moving into that now. That's one of our targets. And we provide, apart from the peer-to-peer at the moment, solutions on all of the other areas. So that data aggregation is going to be the way to go. And because we've built such a smart database, a cloud platform, we are dealing probably with more data on some of our sites than any other company. So we're well ahead. And just, this is my last 2 slides, what we're doing. Continue focus on the platform system, integrate with IoT, BMS, get into the high volume e-commerce sales, simpler solutions for small companies, and continue being the preferred choice on marquee projects. That's the basic outline of where we're going. And to do that, we have some product development. I'll start in this quarter, the UI UX. We've done a lot of work on that. We have the Resolution, which is our on-site app, the release done. Elevation, the version 2, which is a 2D drawing. The release of that is happening next week or the week after. We're moving then into Q1, BACnet integration, which, unless you're in construction, will mean nothing. It's just a protocol about building management. IoT monitoring, we've got a lot done, but we've more to do on that. The full version of our on-site tool, which is really where the volume sale is coming in. And then moving into, later in the year, API hub, so we can aggregate other systems' data. A developer hub, so people can develop add-ons to our system. A formula engine, so we can output relevant data. And then you're moving into, you know, AR, the chat app, that's the big part of it, the comms that we're moving towards, and voice recognition to match that. And that is me. So thank you.
Thanks a lot for that, Brandon. So Zutec is a company that is operating on several markets. Are there any particular differences between these markets, or could you please elaborate if there are any markets that you would like to enhance your position in?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose for enhancing our position, we're actively pushing the Nordic market. So we have a lot of positive things happening in Stockholm and Sweden, and a small amount in Denmark. So we're pushing on. We see this region as a big growth area for us. The Middle East is growth, and the difference, I suppose, in some regions, Western Europe will be quite similar. When you get to the Middle East and Asia, labor is a lot cheaper, so it's a slightly different offering. It's not all about efficiency of the individuals, it's about efficiency of the reporting, so you have different people looking for efficiencies in it. The UK, Ireland, the Nordics, Central Europe, they're very similar sustainability, such as LEED and BREEAM, you know, so they've the same building controls behind them and building regulations, so they're not that different. Another market, of course, is the US, where we're tentatively dipping our toe at the moment. That will be slightly a different market. They don't even use meters, and they use feet and inches, things like that, but a slightly different market. Asia is quite similar to the Australian market. And funnily enough, in Australia, where we have good business, we find that the clients in Australia are by far the most ahead. They're the most willing to use technology. Hence, we're getting growth down there.
Okay. And in conjunction with the IPO, you raised about 50 million SEK. Is the usage of this money going according to plan?
So far, yes, we probably should be a bit further ahead of our spend on sales and marketing. We took the view that we needed to make sure we had our sales and marketing strategy and the process for it fully embedded and in place before we put too many people into it. So as I say, we've employed a CRO, a couple of salespeople. We'll have more salespeople and a digital marketing manager in place in January. So that will jump us to where we would expect to be on the spend.
And could you also please elaborate a bit on your recent change in strategy towards targeting SMEs and what that means in terms of profitability?
Yeah, no problem. I suppose it's not so much a change in strategy as we're adding another strategy to our company. We always will have those large projects and the high value contracts, but a couple of years ago, even maybe we were doing the IPO, you're looking at these large projects and we have one license on it into the contractor, and there's all of these other subcontractors on that project who are using some kind of tools, maybe just for simply getting observations or managing their drawings. So it's to bring them in and bring them in not on a project basis but on a company basis, so they could be 5, 10, 15-year customers. There are companies, there's a couple of American companies, they started from that base, and I've seen bigger scale in that approach than from the large project approach, where you can become embedded in a few projects which could be profitable, but scaling is harder. There's a lot more manpower. So what I'm trying to do is reduce the onboarding time of our clients and the onboarding time of our staff, so that I can get people within 6 weeks selling on the phone and inside and sales and inbound marketing approach. So you have a much quicker turnaround of sales cycle as well. Profitability will be a lot higher because you have, in all of those large projects, we have a service or consultant element that will be taken out. So it's all down to the software where the profit margin on each sale is a lot higher.
Thank you. And in the recent time, we have seen plenty of M&A happening in the construction software sector. For instance, Autodesk is seeking to acquire PlanGrid for about $1 billion USD. Do you see this affecting you in some way?
No, well, it's an interesting one. What PlanGrid do is part of our offering. The Elevation app would be quite similar to that. They concentrated on that volume sale. That's one of the reasons we're adding that to our business plan. That growth can only help us, because what we had to do for a long time in a sale was educate the clients about what could be done rather than just what we could do. So now we're skipping that and going straight to what our offering is rather than what they can gain from just digitizing. So the likes of PlanGrid, and then Aconex was bought by Oracle, eBuilder was bought by Trimble. All the smallest one of them was a $500 million acquisition, so they're big. They are all adding to the knowledge of people, and we'll get more inbound inquiries that way, because building up, it's not just about us, it's building up an industry as well. So it's really helping that. So I think very positive.
Thank you. And to conclude, if we look maybe 3, 4, 5 years ahead, what would you say are Zutec's biggest challenges and opportunities?
I suppose the biggest opportunities is moving towards a high volume sale, and if you can move that into an e-commerce arrangement where people can buy online, update licenses, that's the biggest opportunity that people will self-sell. You're just helping people buy something, you're not actually hard selling it to them. I think the challenge is keeping the products as simple to use and but as effective at the same time. It's that balance of really effective product with ease of use. Getting that right is where the biggest challenge is over the next few years. I think we're more than up to the challenge. We're doing well on it so far. So it's just keeping that going. That's the biggest challenge. But the opportunities are almost, endless. It keeps growing, the volume sale. So we just keep pushing that, and we get our growth there. And over time, that will become the larger percentage of our revenue, and that's what we're planning towards.
That's comfortable to hear.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Brennan.
Thank you.